and welcome back to The Give and Go. I'm your co-host Reynoso, here with my boy
Soltero. What's up, guys?
The Saturday full of finals. There were so many notable finals today. Cup tournaments, Champions League tournaments, whatever it might be. We had a wide array of options on the table for you to feast on regarding finals. And I actually want to start this by going chronologically with the games that happened first.
Let's.
The first one being Manchester City versus Manchester United. Bro, this might be the first time on the podcast in the 2-3 years that we've done this where we can actually say that Manchester is finally red.
Dude, at the end of this match, this ends up being a shocking result. Seriously, the commentator even said this is probably the biggest upset in the FA Cup final since Wigan beat Manchester City like 10 years ago. Is it that big? And I thought about it. I think it is, because Manchester City losing a final, like, especially the way that they did in this match, I think this is actually a pretty big upset.
Fair. Yeah, the context does matter. The way it happened and the fact that it is a domestic cup. City does not lose these. Right. That's a good point. Man, I think it's a bold statement to compare it to Wigan winning the FA Cup. That's pretty crazy.
It is pretty crazy, but bro, Manchester City just won their 4th straight Premier League title. I think this version of Manchester City losing a final is a rare sight to see, and it happened today.
And I think that's why I do put a lot of this loss on Manchester City themselves. Obviously, Manchester United stepped up, and I want to give them credit for that, but I did feel that for the first basically half of this game, that Manchester City just was way too confident. They got way too cocky. They got way too used to probably just dominating Manchester United in all their past fixtures, that they thought they could just walk into the setting and do it once again. But Manchester United proved to be a very, very tough opponent, forcing them to have their first shot on goal in like the 35th minute of the match, dude. Like, this Manchester City side just ended up looking really lazy to me overall, and ultimately that was represented in the first goal that they conceded with a complete miscommunication between Gavardiol and Ortega, which then got Garnacho the first goal of the match.
Yeah, honestly, pretty bad mistake though. Ultimately, I think I'll blame Ortega here.
What was he doing, man?
Yeah, especially after the bounce, he could have recalibrated and gone back. There's no way that he would have been caught that badly if he tracked back, but he went for it. He kept going for it after the bounce, and there's miscommunication. Gavardiol hits it, and Garnacho gets a freebie. And it's just a really sloppy goal in this final for Manchester City. But it's indicative of how City played overall in this match, bro, because I agree, lazy is the exact word I was thinking. It kind of reminded me of Leverkusen's performance against Atalanta, in the sense that City ultimately didn't look up for it the way that United did. From the moment go in this match, United looked great as far as their effort, their energy and the physical approach that they brought to this match, I think is why United ultimately deserved both goals that they got in this match, and ultimately deserved the title, because they looked like they wanted this title way more than Manchester City.
No, 100%, dude, and especially that second goal, the energy afterwards with Bruno Fernandes feeding in a gorgeous pass to Kobbie Mainoo. They expected Foden, the Stockport Iniesta, to light up the final, but instead it was Mainoo, the Stockport Seedorf, who did it. That's a YouTube comment I saw, and I laughed my ass off when I saw it, man. Beautiful description. Kobbie Mainoo with an amazing finish once again. It just continues to surprise me. Not that I've doubted him. I don't expect a player that young to be as impactful in these games, and he's doing it time and time again. Really good to see him get on the score sheet, as well as Garnacho. And I do think that's one of the strong points of this Manchester United side, because we haven't gotten the chance to really speak positively about Manchester United in our tenure as podcasters, bro, because Manchester United has been pretty abysmal throughout this entire time. This is probably their biggest moment. I mean, they won the Carabao Cup last year, but that's a trophy that I would consider lesser than the FA Cup.
For sure.
Winning the FA Cup against Manchester City and doing it with two of your youngsters scoring those goals, I think is very indicative of where this team is trying to go, what they're trying to build if the right pieces are in place.
Yeah, what is it? 2 19-year-olds, right? Scoring today for Manchester United to lift this title. But, dude, I just have to repeat it. What a goal that second one was for Manchester United. A gorgeous switch over to the right-hand side. Finds its way to Bruno Fernandes and just one-times it perfectly in Kobbie Mainoo's path. And as you already said, a perfect finish from him. Pure conviction in the shot. Manchester United go up. City get one back. But, I mean, it was also, in my opinion, a goalkeeping mistake from Onana. He should have had that covered, bro. Doku gets the goal ultimately, but it was cheap. It was cheap.
De Bruyne getting subbed off in the 53rd minute. Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder, how badly do you think Erik ten Hag needed this victory here, man? Because I would consider him on some version of the hot seat for the past 6 months, honestly, with the results that Manchester United has been getting. And he constantly gets criticized for his tactics and the way the guys are playing and the failure to really show up in big games. How badly did he need today, bro? Getting a FA Cup victory against your rivals like this, I think is really, really good.
It's massive. But here's the weird thing, and this is exactly what I wanted to bring up, because going into this match, there were reports that no matter the result, Ten Hag was going to see the sack in this offseason. He wins this pretty convincingly. I mean, he set his boys up to completely succeed, and they executed his plan to perfection. So now it's weird, man. It's a really strange situation that I think the United board and Ten Hag find themselves in. What do? You call him tomorrow and be like, hey, thank you so much for the FA Cup, but yeah, a really good performance, but sorry, we're going to look elsewhere. It's just what a weird way to leave a club if that ends up happening. And the thing is, it honestly could.
Yeah,
it honestly could.
It could. I think it'd be the wrong decision now, especially because you look at the coaching market and, man, it is desolate at the moment, man. You got Vincent Kompany, bro. Vincent Kompany going to Bayern Munich because of the options running out, essentially. Hansi Flick is now signed to Barcelona as well. Who's left, honestly? Thomas Tuchel?
I think it would just be Tuchel, bro. Yeah,
I think he'd be more interested in the Chelsea gig, to be honest. And so I don't think there's much more else out there to look for, and so you might as well stick with what you have. There's something good cooking here. There's something positive. I think it can be lackluster at times, or it can be kind of inconsistent, but I just don't think there's anything better out there. I'm be honest, man.
I know. I agree. I just think if you're Manchester United, you're frustrated that Ten Hag didn't have a better season, though. Let's be completely honest. Manchester United just had basically their worst season in, 25 years or whatever? It's really poor when you look at it that way. Especially when you look at their performances last year. There was promise. So I think the promise and potential that they saw last year should have been fulfilled this year, and it didn't happen. So I think that's why I would be okay if Ten Hag does ultimately leave, but you're right. I mean, who are they going to get? I think it would have to be Tuchel. If you're Manchester United and you want to be successful, you have to get a top manager, at least in name. Tuchel's really the only one, I agree. But today's performance, I think, was just a reminder that a lot of Manchester United's problem, I think, really are mental. Because, they play great.
When they show up, man,
come
this
on,
team
man.
is magical. They did it against Liverpool at times. They've done it against many big teams in the Prem. And when they do it to win a trophy, it's a beautiful scene. They look like they're meant to be on this stage. Why can't they do that consistently, man? That is the frustrating part with this team. I think for me, I want to see what they do in the offseason, what players they offload. I think I heard that Varane might have played his last game for Manchester United. He's looking to go elsewhere. I want to see who they offload and who they bring in. But then I also want to see a full season of Kobbie Mainoo. Yes. Because he was working his way into a lineup, and it wasn't until the second half of the season that he finally got that starting nod at midfield consistently, and we saw him honestly improve the team a lot and have really big moments. I want to see what that looks like throughout the entire year, because they might have themselves like a mini version of a Jude Bellingham type situation where you just have a young stud rising star just completely carry that midfield and show a lot of promise. I think that's one of the more exciting factors of Manchester United, as well as also seeing what Garnacho can do as he slowly continues building his career as he has these past couple of years. So following along with the theme of finals, after this game, we had a Champions League final, my friend. The Women's Champions League final taking place at Athletic Bilbao Stadium, San Mamés, between Barcelona and Lyon. So you could already assume that this place was going to be filled to the brim with Barca fans. Yeah. And it really was, man. The atmosphere looked incredible, especially taking into context what Lyon represents in the Champions League. I didn't know this, bro. They have the most Women's Champions Leagues in history at 8, bro. 8 Champions League titles. The next closest is Frankfurt with 4. Frankfurt,
really?
Bro. Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising because lately I feel like I've been seeing Barcelona win these big tournaments, and I just assumed that they'd be the ones that dominate the total tally of championships. But no, it's actually Lyon, then Frankfurt, and then before this game, it was Barcelona with only 2 Champions League titles. After this game, they get their 3rd title with 2 previous Ballon d'Or winners scoring in this match. Aitana Bonmati, who we highlighted during the Women's World Cup. And then Alexia Putellas, the past Ballon d'Or winner, who also got on the board after getting off the bench. Spain. Women's football is at an absolute height right now, man. It's kind of like replicating the same thing that happened with the men's sport when they won the World Cup in 2010 and then you saw success domestically. They just won the Women's World Cup, and now on the European level, they're also winning trophies as well with their best stars standing out. Congratulations to Barcelona Femenino. What a massive, massive victory here. And I just want to highlight it because you look at how the sport continues to grow. This stadium was packed, bro. It was packed. It's actually really exciting to see. And now we go over to Asia, a place that we have visited a lot throughout this podcast, and as we cover both the AFC Asian Cup, but now the AFC Champions League, with Al-Ain facing off against Yokohama in the second leg after Yokohama got a massive, massive victory 2-1 at home. Brother, what did you think about today's game, man? What did you think?
The scoreline is definitely a little unfair to Yokohama. I just want to make that first very, very clear. A definite inflated scoreline here with Al-Ain winning their second AFC Champions League.
Congratulations.
The first one since 2003 or 2002, I believe. The Emiratis are in party mode. And honestly, dude, I do not think there's a happier man today on this planet than Hernan Crespo.
Bro, the images.
Dude.
The images. I did not expect that happiness, bro. He looked
so
genuinely
happy.
so excited. It had me like low-key kind of tearing up. I was like, wow, like
man.
He's making a name for himself now on the coaching platform.
Yes.
Congratulations to a man that I've hated for so long.
Pure joy from Crespo. And honestly, when I really think about this Champions League run that Al-Ain just pulled off, I think this might be one of the most impressive runs in AFC Champions League history. And honestly, you could say impressive just continentally across all confederations in the world. They had to beat the two most expensive Saudi teams ever assembled to get to this final. And then they had to beat a really good J-League side in Yokohama. J-League sides, once they get to the final, are no joke. And I think Yokohama showed that over both legs. And when you add in the impact of Soufiane Rahimi, 13 goals. 13 goals, tying the record set by, I believe it was Bounedjah, the Algerian striker. It all adds up to just a ridiculously impressive run and completed title win from Al-Ain in this AFC Champions League.
I literally was thinking the same thing, man. I haven't seen as much AFC Champions League in the past. This was one of the first years where I really go in depth with it. But just looking at it, when else has Saudi Arabia had this strong of teams like on paper? Cristiano Ronaldo's on there, for God's sake. Mr. Champions League over in Europe was here competing in this tournament and was unable to beat this side. They took down the Saudi teams as well with Al-Hilal, who's on an unbeaten streak too. Let's not forget that factor too. Jorge Jesus guiding these Al-Hilal players to an incredible season. Al-Ain was the one team that shut them down, that was able to beat them in a knockout setting. That to me is just mind-blowing. And then to top it off by defeating one of the greatest AFC players ever in Anderson Lopez is even better, my friend. What a victory and what a moment to do it against Yokohama. But the way they did it, Rahimi being the Moroccan Mbappe, as I mentioned before, honestly, man, like, I know it'll never happen, but if there was ever an argument, ever a case for an AFC Champions League winner to even be like top 10 in Ballon d'Or rankings, this would be the moment, man.
Like, no, seriously,
bro.
Truly.
Like, there's been moments where I think a Brazilian player playing in Brazil has somehow made it into like the top 30 of Ballon d'Or nominees. But, you know, anyone outside of Europe usually doesn't get that nod. This feels like one of those moments where Rahimi, with the impact that he has had throughout this entire run, how could you overlook him, man? This is one of the best players right now in terms of form in the world. I'm so excited to see what he does with the career and where he goes after this. But for this moment right now, insane run, bro. Like, insane, man. This was truly, truly something special that we saw from Rahimi and from Al-Ain all together.
Yeah, Rahimi, I need to see him go to Europe.
Yeah,
I need to see it, bro. The swagger that he played with in every single knockout stage game was unparalleled, truly. I already kind of highlighted it in the preview, but I'll say it again. He was so deadly off the dribble and even with the ball. He was even faster when he has the ball at his feet. But to boot, his technique is ridiculously good in front of goal. Like, most wingers are, especially outside of Europe, are kind of one-dimensional. Rahimi has it all, bro. Pace, physicality. He's also has a pretty good IQ, but also his finishing ability is just so impressive. I would love to see him go to Europe. I do just wonder though if anybody's realistically scouting him. I wonder, man.
That's a question, man. Like, I was like, especially today, I was thinking, like, is some like mid-table La Liga team like watching him right now?
They should be.
Is like Celta Vigo monitoring him right now, or are they like enjoying fucking tapas? You know, what are they doing on a Saturday afternoon? That's my only question, because this is a player waiting for a golden opportunity, and who I would have confidence in completely thriving given the chance. I hope that he's getting monitored, man. I hope he's getting looked at, and I would say that he is. Don't be nihilistic about scouting, man. Maybe there's a chance.
I genuinely believe that he could be inserted into any team in the top 5 leagues in Europe and perform. I really do think so. There'd be maybe a little bit of an adjustment period, but I truly think he's already that good.
Yeah, man. That's crazy because I just mentioned like a mid-table La Liga team, but
low-key,
he could be like he could come off the bench for like low-key Liverpool, man. He could come off the bench for like Tottenham and maybe find a way to start for them eventually. Like, he's that young. He's that informed. He's the next Moroccan star, honestly, and I love what we saw from him throughout this entire run. And then it was also cool, I think, the story of Al-Ain, I think, is also what makes this such an awesome title to have witnessed, with the story of Kojo Laba getting on the board in this game, a guy that you brought up multiple times throughout the previews, but I never really got to see until finally he got healthy.
Crazy.
He managed to get minutes in the final, and he got his moment to shine too, because that's a reminder of how much firepower this Al-Ain offense has. He was the leading scorer at one point, I think, for this tournament, and then got injured, and then Rahimi took over.
Exactly. Yeah, seeing Kojo Laba get this finals appearance, I think, was huge. He dominated in the group stage, had an injury, and we literally did not see him the entire knockout stage until the second leg of the final in the second half. Pretty crazy, but he puts it away. And Al-Ain get a lot of goals, but Al-Ain end up getting a lot of goals, but there was a red card in this game, definitely. And it was a clear red card for sure, but playing down a man an entire half against the firepower of Al-Ain, you're going to get a scoreline like we saw today. I think the more controversial part in this game, and I do have to mention it, was the penalty for Al-Ain when they got their second goal to actually take the lead against Yokohama. It's one of the softest penalty calls that I've seen, and you just can't call that in a final. I'm going to be honest. I think the referee got it completely wrong. You cannot call those just ever, and especially not in a final, man. I get, yes, technically he can call it because there was contact. I understand it, but nah, you gotta let the boys play. You gotta let them play.
You know how in the NBA there's certain players that get what commentators call superstar calls?
Yeah, okay.
I wonder if Rahimi, who I parallel a lot to like Jack Grealish in his ability to draw fouls, has kind of become that in the AFC region. You just give him the benefit of the doubt. That'd be my only argument against it, in the sense that because it was him solely that drew the foul and that did get to the ball, sure, on the technicality, it is really soft, and you look at the images, and I agree, it was kind of disappointing that he gave that. I wonder if that comes down to it being a superstar call because it was Rahimi who drew it, and he's just so dangerous. You never know what he could do if he had gotten a fair chance at getting the ball.
True.
It's the best argument I can find.
No, very, very true. And he has earned, I guess, that kind of superstar status. So I definitely get, I can roll with that. And when I really think about it, I think even if it was 11v11, I really, truly believe that Al-Ain were the better side overall.
No matter what.
Now, it was tight. I think it would have been a very tight game. Yokohama, honestly, probably could have taken it to extra time. I think they had the class and ability to really fight against Al-Ain. They've shown that. But overall, I do think the better team won in this final. Congratulations to Al-Ain. And, really seeing them play this whole AFC Champions League, they played some really proper football, truly. And they are the perfect example of having an expanded Club World Cup, because this Al-Ain team, this team that just played today, could, they could play against a European side, and they could definitely beat a CONCACAF or CONMEBOL side 100%. So I think putting them on an international stage will be really cool, so people from the Americas, people from Europe can see that there is really good football being played elsewhere in the world.
No, that's right, man. That is the only counter I would have to Rahimi leaving, is that I would want it to stay long enough to see that out, because, man, I think he'd ball out on a stage like that. I have this team listed as the most stylish team to win a trophy this year so far, in the sense that if you look at the highlight reel of all the goals they've scored, Bro, that first goal they scored today.
Oh my God.
Come on, man.
Bro, I got out of my fucking couch and screamed. Like, I ran around my apartment. It was dirty. It was so dirty.
If Ozil does that in a Madrid jersey, we see that for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
Bro, this was a beautiful, beautiful combination goal that we saw. And it's been like that this whole run, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it's style, it's aesthetic, it's swagger. It's actually really surprising to see how much confidence and how much just style they play with. When you compare it to other teams, I don't think that they've shown that sort of flair in their game in the journey to getting a title. So that stood out to me a lot. And then another question I have is start, bench, cut finals players.
Yeah.
Lookman, Rahimi, Julián Quiñones.
Shit. I'm cutting Quiñones.
You gotta cut Quiñones,
man.
right?
Ask me that a year ago, I would have started
That's crazy.
Quiñones.
That's crazy.
The thing. He's out of form. I'm cutting Quiñones. Lookman's goals were ridiculous though in that final. They were stupid.
3, bro.
So I'm going Lookman's start, but
Rahimi drew a penalty. He drew a red card. He got 2 goals.
No,
I think he might have assisted too, man. Like, he did everything,
and he's done it since the ground of 16, bro. Whew. He's done it in every single game. Yeah. But I know Rahimi's coming on the 45th minute.
Yeah, I'm going Lookman, bro. He did it against Bayer Leverkusen. Like, we've been seeing this word get thrown all around TikTok right now. The aura of Lookman is insane, man. Like, that's going to go down in history, the way he brought down that Bayer Leverkusen team. But regardless, I don't want to bring any other players down. Rahimi has been incredible so far.
I really like that word, stylish, bro. I mean, Matias Palacios, what a fun player to just watch play the game. Kaku Romero, too. So progressive in the style that he brings to his game, just always looking for that through ball. And he's got the technique to actually pull off some crazy passes. We've already talked about Rahimi. And then imagine if Jurgens was playing today.
Dude,
imagine if Eric Jurgens was playing, bro. That just that player oozes style.
Yeah.
So yeah, what a fun team Al-Ain are, and I think they pulled off one of the most impressive continental victories.
Yeah, an amazing stadium too. The atmosphere was incredible. Shout out to them, bro. Like, they pulled up with so much love. It was beautiful to see. Congratulations to Al-Ain. Massive, massive victory. Let's go over to Africa, where we had Al-Ahly host Esperance, the Tunisian side, for the second leg after they tied 0-0 in that first leg. Al-Ahly's fans came out in attendance, bro. They were immediately recognizable with the love, with the passion they were showcasing. The way they flood that stadium is a beautiful, beautiful image.
Yeah.
And it's the reason why I had Al-Ahly winning this matchup after that first leg, because I just think that home factor would have been too much to overcome for Esperance. And it showed, because early on, Al-Ahly got a goal to get the lead off of a corner, a weird goal that honestly was considered an own goal after revision. Kind of just bobbled in the box. But afterwards, man, from what I saw, I think it makes complete sense why we got a 0-0 result in that first game. Both these teams just basically cancel each other out, man.
Yes.
It's crazy. Like,
yes.
We saw like 2 more opportunities throughout the rest of the game, maybe. And that was it.
Yeah, bro. It was actually kind of frustrating because Esperance, I've never seen a team try so hard to just get a goal, but realistically craft nothing. They couldn't do anything. But they tried so hard. They put in so much effort, and they honestly had a decent amount of possession away from home in Egypt, but it amounted to absolutely nothing. Jan Sase had a 23-yard shot.
Yes, I remember that one.
You know, it got close, but it ultimately wasn't on target, and that was about it, man. And for Al-Ahly, honestly, they didn't even really craft anything outside of that one goal early on in the game from a set piece. So yeah, both of these teams basically equals. What is crazy though is with this win, Al-Ahly win another CAF Champions League final. This is the 4th time that they've won back-to-back titles.
Good
The
Lord.
4th time that they've done this.
Wow.
And also another crazy stat, they went unbeaten the entire run this year.
In the Champions League?
In the Champions League.
Good Lord.
They didn't get beat.
Good Lord.
Pretty ridiculous. Wow. I think the keeper overall had 9 clean sheets.
My goodness.
Stupid.
Yeah.
So one thing to credit for sure is Al-Ahly really do have a good defense.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, that's true. I think if they hadn't scored that goll, this game would have gone to penalties, man.
I think so,
It would have gone to penalties. But looking at the numbers here, Al-Ahly has been in the final the 7 of the last 8 years, and they've only lost once. That's what gets me, is that they make all these finals, but then they win them, bro.
Yeah.
They win them. They've only lost one in the last 8 years. That's ridiculous. Winning 6 finals in the process. Like a regular team would probably go like 3-3 in those situations, right? You lose some, you win some. It is what it is. It's a final. But for Al-Ahly, if they show up, they're coming out with the trophy, man.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of scary. And I think maybe that's what got into Esperance players' heads, is just that mentality, that history that Al-Ahly has in this tournament. Dude, it's something special, man. It really is. And they've done it once again. Maybe not the best iteration of Al-Ahly that we've seen, but still good enough to win this tournament.
Exactly. That's the point. It's total dominance from Al-Ahly. When you play them, we've made this comparison before. They are the Real Madrid of Africa, and like that is not an overstatement. They dominate the Champions League, and honestly, I see them dominating for the foreseeable future, man. Like they're going to get far in the tournament every single time, and like you said, if they get to a final, it really doesn't matter who they're playing. It's going to be tight, but Al-Ahly's somehow going to have the edge, man. They're ridiculously good.
Congratulations to Al-Ahly. Massive victory once again. Their fans are going to be partying. Kaido is going to be lit tonight.
Yeah.
And congratulations to any Egyptian fans that we have. Congratulations on your massive trophy here. Moving on, we got 2 domestic cups left to cover. The first one being Bayer Leverkusen versus FC Kaiserslautern, and what was deemed to be a very ridiculous matchup, with Bayer Leverkusen trying to be undefeated domestically now since they lost the Europa League.
True.
And Kaiserslautern trying to be a second division side to lift the DFB Pokal, a team that has taken down Bayern Munich in their run to this final, man. What did you think about this match and how it underwent? Because it was actually very unexpected how things turned out.
First off, I just want to say what a fun opportunity for Kaiserslautern, for the fans, for the players. You're in a final, baby. You're in Berlin in the Olympiastadion against Bayer Leverkusen. Like, forget the pressure. Just have fun with the moment. Like, I wish I was a Kaiserslautern fan. Like, imagine going on this run, knowing you get to play in a final and cheer on your team as a second division side. That's what's crazy,
you think it feels like playing with like house money?
Yeah.
You know, when you're up already, and it's like, you know, like whatever comes is positive. Like there is no losing here for us.
There's no losing. I think they could have lost this game 5-0, and I would have been like, dude, congratulations, Kaiserslautern, for getting here, man.
You're right.
But yeah, you kind of alluded to it. Yeah, this game ended kind of weird because there was a red card right before half.
Do you think if you're a Kaiserslautern player or a coach, if they had offered you to be down 1-0 with an entire half to play, being up a man, would you have taken that deal?
Oh, yeah, bro.
That's what I was thinking too.
You talk about trying to equate a Bayer Leverkusen to a second division side. One way to do the handicap is you take away a man from Leverkusen.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is that in the second half, it didn't even look like Leverkusen were missing a man. It looked like it was 11v11. And I think that really showed the class difference between Leverkusen and Kaiserslautern. This game, I think, would have ended 3-0, 4-0 had it stayed 11v11. Because ultimately, outside of 2 long-range shots in the second half, Kaiserslautern produced nothing offensively.
Yeah, and if Frimpong had been on his best day, this could have ended differently.
Exactly.
Granted, Xhaka getting a beautiful outside-the-box goal. But yeah, for Kaiserslautern, it was tough. It's just tough. I think you saw the quality difference there and their inability to really break down this Bayer Leverkusen defense. I still think it was a golden opportunity, and I wanted to highlight that because they had a shot, bro. They had a shot there. And if they could have, I don't know, if the gods would have been in their favor, they maybe could have pushed this to extra time and had something special happen.
Yeah, it was 1-0.
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm saying.
Ultimately, how it ended and how it was for so long in this game, but Kaiserslautern just didn't have it. And I was actually a little frustrated because I'm like, imagine if they just had one really informed winger or something.
Bro,
just one guy.
One guy that maybe is ready for the Bundesliga. Right. And like, but you just didn't see that today. You didn't see that today. And instead, you see Xabi Alonso lift his second title now with Bayer Leverkusen. I did not know this. In 1 year, winning these 2 trophies, the Bundesliga and the DFB Pokal, Xabi Alonso has now doubled Leverkusen's trophy cabinet. A cabinet that's 100 plus years old, man. So that's incredible. That's incredible. And what I really liked from the Bayer Leverkusen players' perspective is that they seem to really take that loss to Atalanta just on the chin, and they just moved on with it. They didn't let it bother them in this final performance, and they got the trophy. And they looked very happy too when they heard that final whistle. They ran onto the field, and it was nice to see. That was my only slight concern was like, will they let that Europa League loss bother them this final, but it didn't seem to take away from this moment whatsoever. Xabi Alonso was ecstatic on the sidelines, and I love that he's staying with him for the foreseeable future because we get to see more of this, man. I want to see how he does this following year after an incredible first debut season with Bayer Leverkusen.
I'm coming back to the Bundesliga next year because of Xabi Alonso, man. I owe that man a lot, all right? So I'm so excited to see Bayer Leverkusen, no matter what happens next season.
Yeah, what a massive, massive achievement, winning this trophy and ultimately ending up undefeated within Germany. When you think about it like that.
It's beautiful.
Incredible. It's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. And one game away, bro. 90 minutes away from being undefeated in all competitions.
Sheesh.
Man, we think about that for a very, very long time. The last thing that I want to know is the PSG versus Lyon match in the Coupe de France. Just the narratives of this game that interested me were the fact that this was Kylian Mbappe's last game for Paris Saint-Germain. And I think that was notable, right?
Yeah.
This is going to leave, probably going to go to Seattle Sounders or Real Madrid in the summer.
Al-Ain,
maybe.
Get paid big bucks.
But this is the end of his tenure with PSG, a player that we've highlighted as the greatest Ligue 1 player of all time. Looking at his career, at the trophies and the titles that he's achieved there, I think he is worthy of that title. Even if it sounds like recency bias, I think he's that good. And PSG saw him play his last full 90. Lyon, on the other hand, coming into this final after starting off this season in the relegation zone. You remember those talks about people just criticizing this Lyon team because they were potentially going to get relegated as a very historic side in France. Now ending the season in 6th place with a European spot acquired and also an appearance in a cup final. So I think they really truly represent just how long a football season is and how you can just change the narrative for yourself for throughout 9 or 10 months, man.
For real, man.
So they're here in the final for a chance to get a trophy. And what stood out to me was the names on Lyon because I hadn't really looked into this year's Lyon team. They have Lucas Peji from Botafogo, the goalkeeper from Botafogo, who was part of that team that choked the title away last year.
Yeah.
He's here now. Tagliafico, of course, the Argentine. Jake O'Brien, the Irishman, starting at center back. I thought that was an interesting name.
Oh, shit.
Nemanja Matic is in the midfield. Tolisso, ex-Bayern Munich, is here as well. And then Said Ben Rama, the West Ham star, is over here too. I have no idea what. After seeing this lineup, I was like, bro, what the hell is Lyon cooking up?
Yeah,
what are they cooking
real.
up, bro? Because they got a lot of old, aging players, but then some really interesting young studs. You look at France, though, a lot of teams are like that, man.
Yeah,
a
lot. Like Brett Brest was kind of like that. Like it was the old guys that really propelled them to second place finish, but they had some good youth too.
Yeah.
It's a weird mix in France for sure.
So I was really interested to see how this game pans out, and within 35 minutes, PSG was up 2-0. And I'm not going to say it was over from that point because Lyon actually got one back from a corner kick in the second half. Jake O'Brien getting on the board.
In the
2-1.
What minute, by the way?
It was like the 60th.
60? Okay.
Yeah, so they were in it.
Something.
But it was more so the fact that the way they generated chances, I mean, there was barely any chance creation. They were just relying on set pieces and long balls. And that is how they ultimately created their danger. They had one more chance off of a cross ball in where Donnarumma had an insane save. That was the peak moment where they could have tied the match. But beyond actual interplay and quick 1-2s and breaking the PSG defense down, there really wasn't any of that. It was just relying on long ball, set pieces, and hopeful things. Ultimately, didn't pan out. PSG gets another Coupe de France. This is their 15th Coupe de France in their history, the most in France's footballing history.
Sheesh.
And Mbappe leaves on top, honestly, with 2 trophies this year with the Ligue 1 and then this trophy as well. So that's how it goes for Kylian Mbappe, man.
Yeah, congratulations to PSG winning that Coupe de France. I didn't see a single second of it. I was busy elsewhere. But, dude, fucking football, man.
Yeah.
We have Emiratis, Egyptians.
Yeah.
A select group of Germans, a select group of British people, a select group of Barcelona people, all celebrating today.
Yep.
It's beautiful, dude. And it's honestly why I love the sport so much. And we get entertained. We get entertained from so many different types of people, so many different cultures. It's so fun to just access it and just enjoy the beautiful game of football.
Yeah, and then it's crazy because 3-4 weeks from now, we all unite all of a sudden, those specific English Manchester United fans are now all together with Manchester City fans, uniting, celebrating, hopefully, prompting up this English squad that's coming for the Euros. And the same goes for all the Germans, the Mexicans, the Arabs, whoever it might be, man. Everybody's uniting. It's a beautiful part of the sport. I guess the last thing I want to say, because we are on the topic of finals, is today was his final day for Toni Kroos as a Real Madrid player. He played his last game. I didn't see any of the images. I just saw like Instagram posts, but Toni Kroos has officially hung up his boots with Madrid specifically. He has the Euros waiting for him. But I just want to note that because in a day of finals, we really do have the final, the last moment of a historic, legendary player for Real Madrid, and Toni Kroos hanging up his boots, man.
Dang, that's crazy. I don't even want to think about Madrid post Kroos seriously, because who do you realistically, who's going to fill those shoes? Like you obviously you have good midfielders in Valverde and Tchouaméni and Camavinga. They're brilliant players. Kroos is one of a kind.
There's no replica.
There's no replica. Yeah. There's no one who can do what he does on the pitch. No. So it's going to be pretty strange. And yeah, if you're Madrid, you got to be sad because the reliability and the skill that he brought every single match, like you just knew what he was going to do, and he give 9 out of 10 performances every single time.
Incredibly consistent, man. That's
so
the
consistent,
problem, man. I hated rooting against him, man, because he always was sure to put in an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 performance. That annoyed me, man. It was really annoying, but it's crazy too that of the Modric, Kroos, Casemiro midfield, it's now just Modric that remains, and he's the oldest one out of all of them. That's interesting.
Dang.
Yeah. And he's looking to re-sign with Real Madrid because he doesn't want to go elsewhere neither. So kind of crazy that that's how this saga, this historic trio ends, is with Kroos retiring and now Modric just being the last one there.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool what Modric is doing with Madrid. He's just happy to be there. He still has insane skill. Obviously, he doesn't have the physical aspect to his game anymore, but he still just oozes class, oozes ability. And honestly, you can kind of bring like a player-coach mentality to Madrid because, you know, he's mainly is relegated to bench minutes right now, and I think that's just how it will be until he retires. But it's so cool to have that you have a wise player like Luka Modric always with you in the squad.
Yeah, and then last thing I'll say for Toni Kroos, I've always said this. Do you know what job he would have had if he wasn't a football player?
What do you say?
He would have been a technician, my friend.
He would have been a technician. Yeah.
He would have been a technician.
He would have been a damn good one, too.
He would have been damn good, but I'd be happy to see him if he pulled up to solve our problem. Guys, thank you so much for watching this show. Let us know your comments on any of these final performances that happened today. Let us know your thoughts, everything in the comment section down below. And we will catch you guys one more time tomorrow for the Liga MX final. Till next time, guys. Peace.
Peace.